Burglars of Reddit, what are the best ways to keep you out of my house? Get an alarm system and use the sticker/sign saying that you have one. I'm more likely to skip a house with an alarm system. Don't make it easy for me. Lock your doors, close your windows, and most importantly, lock them. 95% of the houses I have been in I just walked through the door or climbed through an open window. Don't leave tools laying around. That's going to make my job easier. Ladders, saws, drills, sledgehammers, putty knives, etc. All of these make it easier for me to get in your house. Contrary to popular belief, most dogs aren't a problem. Unless they've been trained to be dog guards, it doesn't take much to make one friendly. Don't advertise. If you just bought an expensive piece of electronic equipment, jewelry, tools, etc., don't brag about it in public, don't leave the trash in sight, and don't post about it on Facebook. Use security hedges under your windows. If your house has rosa bushes and your neighbors don't, I'm more likely to try their house first. If it's irreplaceable, don't leave it out in the open. Get a safe for stuff like that and make sure you bolt it down. I'll happily take a safe with me and open it later. Don't live in a nice neighborhood. When I'm looking to steal, I don't go to the poor neighborhoods. I go to the subdivisions and wealthier areas. Don't assume I'm going to wait until it's dark to rob a place. Between 9 AM and noon are the best times to hit. Most everyone is gone to work. Those who aren't are running errands or sleeping. That being said, invest in motion sensor lights. If someone is outside your house at night, this can help. Finally, be suspicious and alert. Is there someone new walking your neighborhood that doesn't live there? Is someone getting yard care/pest control/deliveries outside of what's normal for them? Does the same car keep cruising around at different times? You see, I'll study a neighborhood before I strike. Sometimes I'll spend upwards of a month. I'll note times people leave and arrive. I'll note when/if cops patrol certain areas and when. I'll pay attention to delivery times, mailman times, and various other service people to see when they arrive, what they do, how they're dressed, etc. I'll watch to see who leaves windows open, who forgets to lock their doors, and so on. It doesn't take much time to make a hit and get away either. On average I spend 8 minutes in a house. Rarely more than that. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I'm going to try to reply to everyone. I apologize if I miss your question. Deleted covered a lot. He is probably legit. I don't steal anymore at all, but I used to a lot. Alarm signs are the biggest deterrent. I'm going in through your front door. I'm not going to check windows or creep into your backyard or any sketchy shit like that. The neighbors calling the cops is really the only danger. I dress nicely in a collared shirt and slacks. I'm white and clean cut. Fairly good looking. A bit like a police officer. Your dog is useless. There is too much on the line to worry about. Fido. I have never been attacked by a dog, but if I was, I look for houses with the least viewpoints from the neighbors. Having an open front porch is your best defense. Park in your garage. Parking in front of the garage is a telltale that there is likely no other car moving in and out of the garage, and the driver is likely at work. I can tell because of the discoloration. Pick up your newspapers. Stop your mail and newspaper if you are leaving town. If I pop the door and an alarm goes off, I will probably leave. Make friends with your neighbors so they know who should be at your house. Going in and someone being home is terrifying. I don't want to hurt anybody, and I certainly don't want to get shot. Also, the risk for getting caught just went from 3 years to 25. I will run screaming from the frailest old lady. Again, this isn't me anymore, but perhaps it gives you some insight. Stay safe. Edit. I see some guys in here saying to have a robust door. I have never been stopped by a door. It is very easy to kick a door, and I would carry a flat bar. A solid core door with heavily reinforced framing might work. Spend big if you want this to be a viable defense. Edit 2. No, I wouldn't want to hurt your dog, but yes, I would have if it attacked me. If you have an 8-foot tall fire breathing dog, then yes, it's probably a good deterrent. Make sure your dog's fire breathing is on point, because none of us want your dog to get hurt. Yes, if you put a lot of effort into security, it will deter thieves. This comment blew up. Thank you all for the positive comments. Fuck you guys with the negative ones. It doesn't do anyone any good. I'm sure you are very tough. You probably shouldn't threaten my daughter. I spent a year and a half in prison after being convicted of multiple residential burglaries. I was caught after a mailman called 911 after seeing me go through a window. I had a pretty good run of burglaries from 2007 to 2008 and haven't done any in 7 years. So technology and times have changed since my spree. Here's how I picked my houses. I would generally only go in the daytime during the week. The idea was for the adults to be at work and the kids at school. I would try to find a corner house because it would have at least one side with no neighbors. I went in middle class neighborhoods close to a community college. I live in a large US city and needed an excuse to be in my late 20s walking around with a backpack. I would stand out too much in wealthy neighborhoods, and poorer neighborhoods often have bars on windows because they expect to be robbed. Middle class people seem to be careless. I often went in through an unlocked back door. Interestingly enough, I never went through a front door. I would always go to the back or side because any fences would provide coverage. People think a large dog would be a good deterrent, but I generally avoided those annoying small yapping dogs that never shut up. I often went through a bedroom window, whether it was unlocked or not. I'm committing a major felony. I didn't care about a broken window. I usually went straight to the master bedroom because that's where the good stuff was. Things a homie Arwana can do, besides armed guards around the clock. Get a dog that doesn't like strangers. I don't care if it's big or small, or threatening or friendly. As soon as one dog barks, the whole neighborhood starts barking and announcing a burglar's presence. Cameras, inside and out. I knew a guy who was caught because he walked by someone's webcam inside their house and ended up on the news. Make the cameras visible. If I see a camera, I'm not just moving on to the next house, but I'm going several streets away. Lock back fence and restrict access to backyard. That's generally where I broke into the house from. Beware of dog, and security alarm signs and stickers are completely worthless. I once broke into a house through a doggy door. There was no dog home. Try not to have any stools or anything in the backyard. They make climbing through windows easier. Edit. Just got back from work. I have a legit job now. Thank you so much for the Reddit gold. I will try to respond to everybody. I grew up with a whole lot of thieving scumbags, bank robbers, carjackers, etc. Here are my suggestions, in no particular order. Get a big faking dog. Very few thieves want to deal with that. If they aren't specifically targeting your house, then they will move on to the next one. For houses they are targeting, they will leave poisoned food outside. Keep an eye out for that. Don't use window air conditioners. This was by far the most common way to gain access by my friends. Kick in the account and climb on in. If nothing of value was found, the account could be taken in for scrap metal. Motion detecting lights. They are a minor annoyance. Will scare off the brainless junkies. Visible cameras. Can be fake. Though they are so cheap, just get real ones. Don't leave your garage door open. Thieves like to drive around nice neighborhoods, looking for people who left their garage open. They love a situation where someone might be mowing their backyard. Quickly hop out of the car, run into the garage, grab as many tools as they can, and run. If they brought a truck, they'll be grabbing bigger stuff. You probably won't even notice or know what happened. Make it a royal pain in the ass to get into your backyard. 10-foot fence would be nice. No one likes breaking in through the front door or front windows. No one likes scaling 10 feet fences either. This complements the get a big faking dog concept. Don't keep your car keys on a hook next to the front door. Newer cars are impossible for an average thief to hotwire. Easy as hell to kick in your front door and snatch the key straight off the hook, though. Related to the above, don't answer the door for strangers. If thieves are casing out the neighborhood, they will pretend to be magazine salesmen / Jehovah's Witnesses / etc. just to take a peek at what's inside. Especially that hook for car keys. Once again, a big faking dog can help here. Get an alarm system. If you can't pony up for that, get the stickers and signage off eBay. Don't keep anything in your car. Especially work trucks and vans. Hell, I even know of someone who robbed a cop car. Keep your vehicles empty. Locks don't faking matter. The lock on the back door of a work van can be popped out in under 5 seconds with a slide puller and a screw. The locks on your house are faking useless too. If you're really paranoid and have a good budget, steel door frame plus solid steel door. I don't have much of any other advice on that. Don't trust locks. I grew up with a whole lot of thieving scumbags, bank robbers, carjackers, etc. Here are my suggestions, in no particular order. Get a big faking dog. Very few thieves want to deal with that. If they aren't specifically targeting your house, then they will move on to the next one. For houses they are targeting, they will leave poisoned food outside. Keep an eye out for that. Don't use window air conditioners. This was by far the most common way to gain access by my friends. Kick in the account and climb on in. If nothing of value was found, the account could be taken in for scrap metal. Motion detecting lights. They are a minor annoyance. Will scare off the brainless junkies. Visible cameras. Can be fake. Though they are so cheap, just get real ones. Don't leave your garage door open. Thieves like to drive around nice neighborhoods, looking for people who left their garage open. They love a situation where someone might be mowing their backyard. Quickly hop out of the car, run into the garage, grab as many tools as they can, and run. If they brought a truck, they'll be grabbing bigger stuff. You probably won't even notice or know what happened. Make it a royal pain in the ass to get into your backyard. 10-foot fence would be nice. No one likes breaking in through the front door or front windows. No one likes scaling 10 feet fences either. This complements the get a big faking dog concept. Don't keep your car keys on a hook next to the front door. Newer cars are impossible for an average thief to hotwire. Easy as hell to kick in your front door and snatch the key straight off the hook, though. Related to the above, don't answer the door for strangers. If thieves are casing out the neighborhood, they will pretend to be magazine salesmen / Jehovah's Witnesses / etc. just to take a peek of what's inside. Especially that hook for car keys. Once again, a big faking dog can help here. Get an alarm system. If you can't pony up for that, get the stickers and signage off eBay. Don't keep anything in your car. Especially work trucks and vans. Hell, I even know of someone who robbed a cop car. Keep your vehicles empty. Locks don't faking matter. The lock on the back door of a work van can be popped out in under 5 seconds with a slide puller and a screw. The locks on your house are faking useless too. If you're really paranoid and have a good budget, steel door frame plus solid steel door. I don't have much of any other advice on that. Don't trust locks. Lock your doors. Even though I don't think much of locks, don't leave your house unlocked either. Deadbolts on every exterior door. Keep expensive stuff out of sight. Your 70-inch flat screen TV should not be visible from the street. Your MacBook Pro shouldn't be kept right in front of your first floor office window. Don't invite strangers over. Hosting an open invitation kegger is a terrible idea. If a thief shows up, they are either stealing something right then and there, or they are casing the place to come back later. If you have a safe, use it. It's utterly stupid how many people who have them just leave them open all the time because it's annoying. If you have guns, try to keep that information to yourself. There are whole subsets of thieves dedicated to scouting out gun owners and robbing them when they are not home. Don't post your entire social life publicly on social media. The people scouting out robberies aren't always across the street in a sketchy van. They're just following you on Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare and Instagram. Keep anything that is really expensive in a bank security box. If your grandmother passed on a $50K diamond ring to you, don't keep it in your jewelry box. Don't do a legal sheet. The houses of drug dealers are robbed on a consistent basis because the thieves know the cops won't get called, and the propensity for those victims to have expensive jewelry and electronics. Stay on the up and up, and a lot of trouble will avoid you. Leave the TV and lights on when you're not home. Not only does it give the impression someone is home, it also will entertain and comfort your big faking dog. If you're in an apartment, do whatever you can to add more locks, if possible according to your lease, alarm system, cameras, etc. Lots of shady maintenance men and landlords out there. Lock your patio door, even if you live on the 10th floor. Scaling the sides of most buildings is actually pretty faking easy. If you are prohibited from owning a big faking dog, a little annoying yip-yapping ankle biting dog can work. Cats are faking useless. Keep the flaunting to a minimum. If you have an expensive vehicle, at least try to keep it in a garage. If you have lots of expensive tools, don't fly a snap-on banner outside your garage. Don't put up a "this house is protected by Smith & Wesson" sign. I grew up with a whole lot of thieving scumbags, bank robbers, carjackers, etc. Here are my suggestions, in no particular order. Get a big faking dog. Very few thieves want to deal with that. If they aren't specifically targeting your house, then they will move on to the next one. For houses they are targeting, they will leave poisoned food outside. Keep an eye out for that. Don't use window air conditioners. This was by far the most common way to gain access by my friends. Kick in the account and climb on in. If nothing of value was found, the account could be taken in for scrap metal. Motion detecting lights. They are a minor annoyance. Will scare off the brainless junkies. Visible cameras. Can be fake. Though they are so cheap, just get real ones. Don't leave your garage door open. Thieves like to drive around nice neighborhoods, looking for people who left their garage open. They love a situation where someone might be mowing their backyard. Quickly hop out of the car, run into the garage, grab as many tools as they can, and run. If they brought a truck, they'll be grabbing bigger stuff. You probably won't even notice or know what happened. Make it a royal pain in the ass to get into your backyard. 10-foot fence would be nice. No one likes breaking in through the front door or fronty windows. No one likes scaling 10 feet fences either. This complements the get a big faking dog concept. Don't keep your car keys on a hook next to the front door. Newer cars are impossible for an average thief to hotwire. Easy as hell to kick in your front door and snatch the key straight off the hook, though. Related to the above, don't answer the door for strangers. If thieves are casing out the neighborhood, they will pretend to be magazine salesmen / Jehovah's Witnesses / etc. just to take a peek of what's inside. Especially that hook for car keys. Once again, a big faking dog can help here. Get an alarm system. If you can't pony up for that, get the stickers and signage off eBay. Don't keep anything in your car, especially work trucks and vans. Hell, I even know of someone who robbed a cop car. Keep your vehicles empty. Locks don't faking matter. The lock on the back door of a work van can be popped out in under 5 seconds with a slide puller and a screw. The locks on your house are faking useless too. If you're really paranoid and have a good budget, steel door frame plus solid steel door. I don't have much of any other advice on that. Don't trust locks. Lock your doors. Even though I don't think much of locks, don't leave your house unlocked either. Deadbolts on every exterior door. Keep expensive stuff out of sight. Your 70-inch flat screen TV should not be visible from the street. Your MacBook Pro shouldn't be kept right in front of your first floor office window. Don't invite strangers over. Hosting an open invitation kegger is a terrible idea. If a thief shows up, they are either stealing something right then and there, or they are casing the place to come back later. If you have a safe, use it. It's utterly stupid how many people who have them just leave them open all the time because it's annoying. If you have guns, try to keep that information to yourself. There are whole subsets of thieves dedicated to scouting out gun owners and robbing them when they are not home. Don't post your entire social life publicly on social media. The people scouting out robberies aren't always across the street in a sketchy van. They are just following you on Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare and Instagram. Keep anything that is really expensive in a bank security box. If your grandmother passed on a $50K diamond ring to you, don't keep it in your jewelry box. Don't do a legal sheet. The houses of drug dealers are robbed on a consistent basis because the thieves know the cops won't get called, and the propensity for those victims to have expensive jewelry and electronics. Stay on the up and up, and a lot of trouble will avoid you. Leave the TV and lights on when you're not home. Not only does it give the impression someone is home, it also will entertain and comfort your big faking dog. If you're in an apartment, do whatever you can to add more locks, if possible according to your lease, alarm system, cameras, etc. Lots of shady maintenance men and landlords out there. Lock your patio door, even if you live on the 10th floor. Scaling the sides of most buildings is actually pretty faking easy. If you are prohibited from owning a big faking dog, a little annoying yip yapping ankle biting dog can work. Cats are faking useless. Keep the flaunting to a minimum. If you have an expensive vehicle, at least try to keep it in a garage. If you have lots of expensive tools, don't fly a snap-on banner outside your garage. Don't put up with "this house is protected by Smith & Wesson" sign. Read up and be aware of how most popular scams work. Water meter scams, fence salesman scams, etc. Most of the time, someone will be distracting you somehow while their accomplice sneaks into your house. Just don't talk to strangers and you will avoid all of them. Junkies love to rob the elderly. Medications and jewelry. Your broke colleges is probably safe, but please make sure your grandmother is all set. Don't leave an extra key under your doormat / under a rock / in your mailbox / on top of the door frame / etc. Also worth discussing are what to do when a burglar is in your house. Get the fuck out. Your PlayStation is not worth getting stabbed over. You will most likely lose any fights you start. Don't do that. Call the cops. Don't count on them to save you, but do it anyways. At the very least, you will most likely have to file a police report anyways for an insurance claim. The chambering of a shotgun generally scares the shit out of thieves. Real thieves will get the fuck out of there if they think someone has a gun. Junkies, though, might be too faked up to notice, or they might have their own and not care. Still best to get the fuck out. If there is no way to avoid an encounter with the robber, get naked. Not down to your underwear, I mean 100% naked. Get crazy. Yell things. This is not advised for attractive females, but for the average redditor, it's a viable deterrent. The thief has a specific game plan in mind. They know how they are going to get in, where they plan to go, what they plan to take, where they plan to exit, and how they plan to leave. Anything that can be done that will majorly disrupt their plan will generally make them leave ASAP. Mace. If you can't legally procure mace, sporting goods stores should carry bear spray. If you can't get that either for some reason, wasp/hornet spray. Again, I really can't stress this enough. Goal #1 is to get the fuck out. Don't bring wasp spray to a gunfight. If you have your keys on you, set off your car alarm. And, lastly, just some general advice. I grew up with a whole lot of thieving scumbags, bank robbers, carjackers, etc. Here are my suggestions, in no particular order. Get a big faking dog. Very few thieves want to deal with that. If they aren't specifically targeting your house, then they will move on to the next one. For houses they are targeting, they will leave poisoned food outside. Keep an eye out for that. Don't use window air conditioners. This was by far the most common way to gain access by my friends. Kick in the account and climb on in. If nothing of value was found, the account could be taken in for scrap metal. Motion detecting lights. They are a minor annoyance. Will scare off the brainless junkies. Visible cameras. Can be fake. Though they are so cheap, just get real ones. Don't leave your garage door open. Thieves like to drive around nice neighborhoods, looking for people who left their garage open. They love a situation where someone might be mowing their backyard. Quickly hop out of the car, run into the garage, grab as many tools as they can, and run. If they brought a truck, they'll be grabbing bigger stuff. You probably won't even notice or know what happened. Make it a royal pain in the ass to get into your backyard. 10-foot fence would be nice. No one likes breaking in through the front door or front windows. No one likes scaling 10-feet fences either. This complements the get a big faking dog concept. Don't keep your car keys on a hook next to the front door. Newer cars are impossible for an average thief to hotwire. Easy as hell to kick in your front door and snatch the key straight off the hook. Though point related to the above, don't answer the door for strangers. If thieves are casing out the neighborhood, they will pretend to be magazine salesmen / Jehovah's Witnesses / etc. just to take a peek of what's inside. Especially that hook for car keys. Once again, a big faking dog can help here. Get an alarm system. If you can't pony up for that, get the stickers and signage off eBay. Don't keep anything in your car, especially work trucks and vans. Hell, I even know of someone who robbed a cop car. Keep your vehicles empty. Locks don't faking matter. The lock on the back door of a work van can be popped out in under 5 seconds with a slide puller and a screw. The locks on your house are faking useless too. If you're really paranoid and have a good budget, steel door frame plus solid steel door. I don't have much of any other advice on that. Don't trust locks. Lock your doors. Even though I don't think much of locks, don't leave your house unlocked either. Deadbolts on every exterior door. Keep expensive stuff out of sight. Your 70-inch flat screen TV should not be visible from the street. Your MacBook Pro shouldn't be kept right in front of your first floor office window. Don't invite strangers over. Hosting an open invitation kegger is a terrible idea. If a thief shows up, they are either stealing something right then and there, or they are casing the place to come back later. If you have a safe, use it. It's utterly stupid how many people who have them just leave them open all the time because it's annoying. If you have guns, try to keep that information to yourself. There are whole subsets of thieves dedicated to scouting out gun owners and robbing them when they are not home. Don't post your entire social life publicly on social media. The people scouting out robberies aren't always across the street in a sketchy van. They are just following you on Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare and Instagram. Keep anything that is really expensive in a bank security box. If your grandmother passed on a $50K diamond ring to you, don't keep it in your jewelry box. Don't do a legal sheet. The houses of drug dealers are robbed on a consistent basis because the thieves know the cops won't get called, and the propensity for those victims to have expensive jewelry and electronics. Stay on the up and up, and a lot of trouble will avoid you. Leave the TV and lights on when you're not home. Not only does it give the impression someone is home, it also will entertain and comfort your big faking dog. If you're in an apartment, do whatever you can to add more locks, if possible according to your lease, alarm system, cameras, etc. Lots of shady maintenance men and landlords out there. Lock your patio door, even if you live on the 10th floor. Scaling the sides of most buildings is actually pretty faking easy. If you are prohibited from owning a big faking dog, a little annoying yip-yapping ankle-biting dog can work. Cats are faking useless. Keep the flaunting to a minimum. If you have an expensive vehicle, at least try to keep it in a garage. If you have lots of expensive tools, don't fly a snap-on banner outside your garage. Don't put up a "this house is protected by Smith & Wesson" sign. Read up and be aware of how most popular scams work. Water meter scams, fence salesman scams, etc. Most of the time, someone will be distracting you somehow while their accomplice sneaks into your house. Just don't talk to strangers and you will avoid all of them. Junkies love to rob the elderly. Medications and jewelry. Your broke colleges is probably safe, but please make sure your grandmother is all set. Don't leave an extra key under your doormat / under a rock / in your mailbox / on top of the door frame / etc. Also worth discussing are what to do when a burglar is in your house. Get the fuck out. Your PlayStation is not worth getting stabbed over. You will most likely lose any fights you start. Don't do that. Call the cops. Don't count on them to save you, but do it anyways. At the very least, you will most likely have to file a police report anyways for an insurance claim. The chambering of a shotgun generally scares the shit out of thieves. Real thieves will get the fuck out of there if they think someone has a gun. Junkies, though, might be too faked up to notice, or they might have their own and not care. Still best to get the fuck out. If there is no way to avoid an encounter with the robber, get naked. Not down to your underwear, I mean 100% naked. Get crazy. Yell things. This is not advised for attractive females, but for the average redditor, it's a viable deterrent. The thief has a specific game plan in mind. They know how they are going to get in, where they plan to go, what they plan to take, where they plan to exit, and how they plan to leave. Anything that can be done that will majorly disrupt their plan will generally make them leave ASAP. Mace. If you can't legally procure mace, sporting goods stores should carry bear spray. If you can't get that either for some reason, wasp/hornet spray. Again, I really can't stress this enough. Goal #1 is to get the fuck out. Don't bring wasp spray to a gunfight. If you have your keys on you, set off your car alarm. And, lastly, just some general advice, follow your local news and police reports vigorously. You should be able to get a feel for the types of crime happening in your area and can figure out a game plan based on that. Personally, my area is high crime, but it's all smash and grab type thefts. While my vehicle has been robbed 3x in the past year, I have zero concern whatsoever that I will be the victim of an armed home invasion. It's just not the style for the area. If you have a choice, try to live in a moderately populated area, near a police station. Living at the end of an isolated cul-de-sac is going to be a lot easier for a thief to get into without being noticed than a townhome in a 100-unit property. Be friendly with your neighbors, to the point where they will recognize any sketchy activity. Keep your nose clean, and don't associate yourself with sketchy characters. Crime begets crime. It's callous for me to say, but really, 90% plus of the victims of crime that I know had it coming. Keep receipts for anything you paid more than $250 for, and keep them in a fireproof safe. If you do end up having to file an insurance claim, they are going to fuck you over hardcore without documentation. Be aware that for high-ticket items, they are required to be scheduled on your policy ahead of time. If you have a $15K home theater system, or $20K in collectible Magic TG cards, your insurance company needs to know about that ahead of time. Keep serial numbers and photos, if possible, of anything you care about. If your laptop gets stolen and you see it the next day in the pawn shop down the street, it won't mean shit unless you have that serial number already on file somewhere. Register all of your products with the manufacturer whenever possible. You will have a hell of a time dealing with an automotive theft claim as the thief used your car keys. Keep those safe. Make copies of all your important documents, including copies of all your credit cards. It will be 100x easier to cancel all of them if a thief gets them. Shred any important documents you are throwing out. I could write endlessly about identity theft. I'll save that for another day. Big faking. Regularly back up your computer to some cloud-based service. Dropbox, Google Drive, etc. If someone steals your laptop, it shouldn't fuck up your life. Install some sort of tracking app on your computer and phone right now, if you haven't already. Serious answer, I did some thefting in my youth. I'll leave that at that. Keep in mind I was no mastermind. When picking a house, besides the obvious answers like a full mailbox and newspapers scattered about, I often picked houses by the stupid tricks people use when they go out of town. Leave the radio on, leave the TV, leave the lights on, etc. Tons of lights on, and an obnoxiously loud TV on in the living room at 2 AM on a Sunday night in a upper middle class neighborhood. Lol. When I found a potential house, I'd obnoxiously ring the doorbell, then run away and watch for activity. After that, if I felt comfortable, I'd try to gain entry. If it was too hard, every time I broke/opened a window or door, I would run away again for a half hour or so and watch for activity. Even if I had to do it in multiple steps. For example, break the window by the door, then run away and wait. Come back and ajar the door, then run away again. I did this because of an irrational fear of silent alarms. Obviously, if I saw any kind of activity or set off an active alarm, I would leave. So you want to keep me out your house? Don't appear as a target. Full mailbox, obstructed view of the house from streets. Don't make it easy for me. Have lots of deadbolts, active alarms, motion lights, dogs, etc. I wouldn't fuck with any of that shit. If I do get in your house, don't keep small valuables all about. I often did all my work afoot and stole money, jewelry, small electronics, etc. Have a safe basically. Hope that helps. I'm reformed now, but you can still judge. For your windows, please use a fly screen and bar it up. It makes a lot of noise to break into. The fly screen is obvious. You don't want some pissed off burglar releasing bees into your house. The thieves will then pick the door. Double doors, bar/metals and bigger doors are good. Get some good locks, but this is where the double door comes in, because it takes longer to pick. As the door is the most likely avenue, since windows are secure, you should secure it with cameras. I'm going to throw out the idea of having an automated warning when motion detected and viewing the security feed. This way, since the most likely entry point is your door, you'll have two that they'll have to break through, and in that time you can contact the police and sure, they may get in, but they won't have much time. A dog is a good defense against backdoor entry, which is also a weak point in a lot of houses. Play something on a tablet or the radio. Noise is also good. It makes people think there's someone inside. Redirect calls from your home to your mobile. This is because people would check by calling the house multiple times and hanging up if there's someone picking up. Lastly, neighbors, be friendly, talk to them, and know your neighborhood. Nothing is better than a physical body presence and people having each other's backs. Thieves aren't interested in robbing a home highly secured. It takes time and the risk associated is much higher than an insecure house. They will hunt around the block looking for targets. The idea is to prevent your home from looking like a easy target. Even if they choose it, make it seem like your house is occupied. If they continue, make it hard to get in, and enough time for you to call the police. No home is ever safe. All homes can be broken into, but because people robbing houses aren't exactly big shots, they're usually just some low-life idiot who needs some quick cash. First off, I'm not coming in at night while you're asleep. The hypothetical I'm, because nobody sane admits to criminal behavior, so I'm definitely just a kid on the internet trying to sound cool. I'm coming during the workday when nobody's home, but just to be on the safe side, since some burglars are also rapists and murderers. Sleep with your burglar alarm set. Most alarms have an instant setting where they'll go off right away if a door is opened, as opposed to that 60-second countdown to give you time to enter the alarm code. Even if you can't afford to pay a monitoring company to actually monitor your alarm, still get one installed that makes tons of noise and post alarm signs everywhere. If I'm coming to murder and wrap you at night, in addition to stealing your belongings, I'm coming in the back door, not the front. Your neighbors can see your front door, so if I kick it in, they see a broken front door if they happen to look out their window. But how often do you see your neighbor's back door? Your front porch light is great for letting me know you're home, and will probably stop me from walking by to check if you forgot to lock it. But if I'm breaking in at night, I know you're home already. Keep your back porch light on. Have some floodlights installed in the backyard. If you like dogs, get a mean-ass dog. If you don't, still post signs saying you have a mean-ass dog. I'm not worried about getting eaten by your dog, but if he one of those annoying ones that barks up a storm, I'll leave before he gets me caught. You can find some how-to about this on the internet. People can supposedly get your garage door open from the outside if you don't get some zip ties and secure the emergency catch. I've never done that, but the theory that it could be done makes sense. If someone's in your garage, they can close the garage door and have all the time in the world away from prying eyes to work on getting into your home. Or just stealing your cars and power tools. Deadbolts are great, but your lock hardware is usually attached to your door frame with tiny screws, so a good kick will bust the whole contraption out, no matter how hefty the actual bolt is or how awesome your door is. You want to replace those tiny screws with insanely long durable ones. Again, internet can help with this. They also sell these funny cane looking things you can wedge below your door knob to make kicking in your door tougher. They don't really work, but if a guy is stupid and desperate and tries a few kicks and can't get the door open enough, he might just move on versus making more noise and risking notice. But seriously, nobody breaks in at night. I'm going to drive out to an upper middle class suburban neighborhood off the beaten path during the day. You know how you paid extra for that house with a 45-minute commute to work because of all the trees, hiking trails, and being farther from the traffic and bustle of town. Unless you're paying HOA dues out there, but for constant patrols, you're pretty unprotected. That's the kind of neighborhood I'm visiting. I'm going to watch your house and a few others on your street for a few days and see when people come and go. Once I'm pretty comfortable that you work a normal 9 to 5 and don't come home for lunch and your neighbors mostly do the same, I'm going for either your garage or the back door, probably around mid-morning, maybe noonish. I might have a tool belt, great for carrying useful tools, and also passing myself off as a handyman, cable guy, a guy who reads meters, or something similar in the rare case that someone sees me. I'm not after your TV. Who the hell can walk into a house and walk out with a 57-inch LCD display that you probably wall mounted, making me spend an hour getting it down? It's whatever I can grab in 10 minutes or less and carry out with me easily. If you own guns or jewelry or valuable portable electronics, hide them, get a safe, etc. Now if you let me sneak into your garage, I might just park my car in there, close the garage door, and spend an hour loading whatever I can fit into my trunk. A lot of people don't think that hard about securing their garage when it's a pretty good point of entry, plus you have some valuable stuff in there. Some houses even have little screen doors going from their yard into the garage. If you have an attached garage, get rid of that crap. I worked in security, ADT, and here's what I found on how burglars would. Case point, they'd walk your street like a Mormon or some other business person, very professional, and hang door hangs or other things like info tracks, whatever. This would be the day they hit. They would walk a street, both sides, and do this. Then walk back through, having already been casing for a while. What they look for is a block of houses that still have the hangs on. That suggests that no one is home in that surrounding area, so no one can see. Then they 9/10 times go through the front door. A security sign will 90% of the time deter them. If you have a security sign, and your neighbor doesn't, guess who the burglar is going to try to break into? Don't let the security system company put your touchpad anywhere that can be seen from a window, either the regular windows, or the ones beside doors. If they can see it, and you left it off, they can see that too. Getting into a garage is extremely easy, and no one ever locks the door from the garage to the house. I have sold more security systems by demonstrating the ease of getting into a garage. Go to your garage door and press firmly towards the top. Does it open enough to see up into it? Then they can break in. With a coat hanger they can grab the red string and up goes the door. So cut your garage string/rope. You have a remote and don't need it. I can't think of anything else that wasn't said, but feel free to ask. Allow me to share my experience with burglars. I had my house broken into once. Doors locked, security bar in, sliding glass windows, no tools laying around, locked garage, and locked windows. Here is how they did it. They got a pry bar, stuck it under the garage door, and lifted just enough to get a low profile hydraulic jack under the door. We know this because everything about how a garage door operates was absolutely broken. After they got the garage door open, they found the door to the house locked. They already brought tools, so what's one more? They plugged their own sawzall right into the wall in my garage and cut a hole directly into the house. Moral of the story is, if someone wants to get into your house, there is absolutely nothing you can do to stop them. Period. An alarm might help. Keep in mind that most police response times, especially to home alarms, are most likely to be crap, and the burglar may know this depending on the area. The alarm triggers at the company. The company tries to get a hold of the owner first. Call that 3 to 5 minutes. The company calls the police. We have a break-in at ## street NW, and we couldn't get a hold of the owner/owner isn't home. Depending the distance to the station, you're talking another 10 to 30 minutes. After my break-in, it took the police 45 minutes to show up. A properly motivated person only needs a few minutes to assess things worth taking. If they already know what they are looking for, then less. Try this. Open your front door and walk directly to your TV/PC/safe and walk directly back. How long did that take you? The police will not come that fast. Well, there's a variety of things that a top-tier burglar like myself looks for. You can do tons of easy things to make sure we won't even target your house in the first place. First point, the door. A locked door is a sign that you have something inside your house you want to protect. A wide open door means come in, or whatever. There's nothing worth stealing in here. So leave your doors wide open so people know that there's nothing to rob from your house. If you can leave open your windows too, then you pretty much guaranteed every burglar is going to walk right past your house. To further address this point, make a list and hang it up near your doorstep. On the list are all the items that you absolutely do not have inside your house. But here's the genius part, you actually do have those things in your house. You're simply lying to confuse the robbers. Quite brilliant indeed. Example, there is absolutely no jewelry in this house, and if it were, the dresser next to the bed would be the last place I were to put it in. Next thing is rather simple. If you have a dog, get rid of it. Contrary to popular belief, burglars are actually helped with dogs. Nobody knows how they do it, but they are some kind of dog whisperers. People have reported burglars carrying out stuff helped by dogs. So if you don't want Fifi to help carry out your flat screen TV on his back, better get rid of him. Other pets aren't as easily convinced to help the burglars, but better safe than sorry, so ditch those as well. Now, should you get robbed, despite all these tips, there's some things you can do to help the police catch the thieves. As soon as you notice you've been robbed, it's essential to swab down any door knobs, light switches, Basically anything a potential robber could have touched. Swipe over them with some cloth to try and absorb some of their DNA left behind when they touched it. Also a common mistake is calling the cops as soon as you realize the robbery. Most criminals often have regrets, and a stunning 89% of all thieves returns the stolen goods within 2 weeks of the heist. So if you were robbed, wait at least 2 weeks before alerting anyone of the robbery. As long as everything is quiet, the thief can show remorse and bring back your stuff. As soon as the cops are involved, they're scared off and will not return your stuff. There you go. 100% foolproof anti-burglary tips from an actual burglar. PS. If you want to receive our monthly magazine Robbin' People, please list your address below. Also include any days you might not be home the following year. We don't want your magazine to end up in a mailbox waiting for you to return home. It might get stolen, or worse. I'd have thought this would go without saying, but apparently a lot of people out there are really stupid, judging by the amount of people who claim to never lock their doors because they're in a safe area. Lock your sheet up. I've lived in some seriously dodgy areas, I mean like right next to unlit alleyways, where they'd do drug deals in the daytime. I've seen people watching the house while I'm alone in it. Neighbors have seen people casing it. Others have caught people on camera trying the doors on the houses on the street. We don't get broken into, ever. 2 bolts and 2 locks on the front door. Last house had a latch as well, so even if you forget to lock the door at night, nobody's getting in further than will set the alarm off, and you couldn't get your arm around to undo the latch unless you can dislocate your arm. Back door locks. Back garden has a padlock on the gate, spikes on the fence and CCTV and movement sensing lights. All the blinds go down at night, so people can't see in. There's a perimeter alarm as well, so if you touch the windows or manage to get the door open on the latch, it will go off immediately, and it's faking loud. It gives me tinnitus. When we are away for long periods of time, family and neighbors come round regularly to check everything's okay and open the blinds, and there's timers on the lights, so they come on in the evening. We also have a dog now, and while he isn't a staffy, he looks and sounds a lot like one and has some serious force behind him when he wants to. He's knocked me over saying hello a few times, and I'm 6 feet tall. I know a lot of people who are very smug about not locking their doors or windows properly, like it's something to get proud over. Guess whether it's me or them that's had several £100 worth of tech equipment and irreplaceable valuables stolen. Source. Raised in burglary capital of Britain. No electricians. No people who nick stuff. I can tell you what worked for me. Some guy died in my front yard. Nobody saw how he died, or even how he ended up in my yard, but damn if the crowds didn't begin to gather a short time later. Anyways, rumor has it that this guy broke into my house and I killed him. I then dragged his body into my yard and displayed him so the entire neighborhood would know not to FCK with me. Every single neighbor of mine has been broken into and robbed a number of times. My house though remains into shade. I was outside and a couple of guys were walking up the street and I overheard one say to the other, "That house you don't ever want to FCK with. He'll kill you and leave you in his front yard." How bad is it? A young kid stole some money from my wife and I talked with the parents about it. They gave me back the money, begged me to forgive them, and within a week moved out. The guy who died, his girlfriend came over looking for him, and I took her into our home and comforted her as the police were doing business. I've helped out the kids in my neighborhood and even took care of one for over a year when his dad tried to actually kill him. I'm probably one of the nicest guys you could meet. Dead guy in your front yard makes your house a no-go zone for the criminal element. Not a burglar, but my old house was broken into 18 times in 10 years before I could finally move. Here are some tips, both inexpensive and a little more advanced, that worked at protecting valuables, as only one laptop was stolen throughout that time period. I was stupid to leave it on my main chair's arm for use whenever I wanted. Anyways, here ya go. When framing a door by like 6 inches long with screws, and put them right through the frame of the door and into the next beam. This will reinforce any door that you think is secure but is a cheap as pose from Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. When you've bought and installed 7 that were broken at one weak point, you see the difference between your first door that looks like it was melted by Ryu Shuriken keyed entry/exit security locks i.e. you have to turn a key to leave the house. When you're home, keep your keys hanging there in case of fire or getting the F out quickly. However, in most break-ins I could tell they tried unlocking and shaking my door then noped out while my alarm was going off loudly in their ear. These are not more expensive more than having them make you another key to match your doors. If you buy multiple sets with the same key code, have an alarm, they ring you, and the cops almost instantly. Shit is loud and causes panic. 10 seconds in there with an alarm going off feels like 10 minutes, unless you're a posse who's extremely used to it. Free install and $20 a month was well worth it, and now I will always have one. If you look on Amazon on YouTube, can't find now posting from mobile, you can find door jam armor for like $80-90. This is sheet metal that sandwiches your door frame in key points, i.e. around the lock and the door handle. It also reinforces the hinges. They take swap battery rams to this stuff until there is a hole in the middle of your door, but don't easily get in. Point security storm doors. Not that cheap one with steel grating on sale, stupid. The most expensive iron looking kick me hard door. Those cheap ones are priced accordingly, but so are the nice ones. If you combine this with the previous known as getting in through a door barricade windows in areas you don't need or care about, you're on Reddit gaming or watching Netflix all night and sleeping in the day. You don't want windows open or natural light anyway, right? I got maximum room darkening drapes at like Big Lots for cheap. In back rooms I had shelves in front of windows and extra wood in front of them, so this limited which windows could be entered from. They sell cheap window alarms that go off when a window is opened. They aren't connected to the main alarm, but give the illusion and still give the same oh shit feeling if you're really in a pinch or refuse to leave or can't, but don't feel safe. Look up a local ironwork company. They will retrofit all of your windows with steel security bars. I had this done to 9 windows, all large slider types, for like $2,400. Seems like a lot, but my mortgage was $400 and I could afford it and didn't want to give up on the house I bought at 20 for cheap. Point read someone else say this, but don't faking advertise. Those room darkening drapes were always drawn. My doors were closed and locked. Someone was hanging out and left the door open, it was immediately shut, and I would say sorry, I'd appreciate it if you close my doors. I have nosy neighbors and have been broken into. I don't like people seeing it's nice in here. Also, all purchases were shipped to work. They would only be brought in at night or time when I could do so quickly. The boxes were cut up and thrown away where you couldn't tell I had a new TV, etc. Don't answer your door for people you don't know or let people in you don't know. Entertaining guests or ordering pizza? Meet them outside. Tell true friends sorry, but your other person isn't welcome, or learn more and then say okay, they're cool. But pre-screen who comes in. If there is some door-to-door person, talk to them through the door. This is your house and they're knocking on your door and you don't know them. Fact being considered rude, but protect yourself and talk through the door when you travel. Have a buddy or someone you trust stay there or visit daily. Not like hey, I'll stop by and get mail a couple times. Like stock the fridge with beer and microwave stuff and say come hang out a few times and stop every day please. Pay them if necessary to inconvenience them. Some may be a lot but some are easy. I lived 2 blocks from the projects for 10 years and it was very inexpensive, which allowed me to travel, pay off all debt and save for a very nice house. Would do it again and miss it sometimes cause bills suck. But yeah, fuck that house and anyone who makes people think about random people going through their shit and being in their home or watching them. My car was broken into at roughly 1 AM. I was awake and watching Alien at full volume with my window open. I heard a crack and had a quick look out of the window and saw some figures. At the time I was naked as I had been laying on my bed. It was the middle of summer and it was very warm. After seeing figures I grabbed my katana from The Last Samurai and rushed downstairs. Bursting out the front door with my katana above my head and my junk dangling below, I ran towards them. I literally smelt shit in the air as they turned and ran. One of them fell over, picked himself back up, and ran off down the road. I stood there with my heart beating and my wang swinging, absorbing my glorious victory. Point I then turned and looked back at my car. Turns out that watching Alien at full volume was a bad idea, as not only had they bent my door open, removed my radio, my bass, a few games I had laying about, my subwoofer, but they had also began trying to steal my rear lights. The crack I heard was from one of the clever individuals trying to snap the plastic away from the light fitting. They only needed to press the quick release button in the boot, which they had access to, already being inside my car. They also didn't see the 300 pounds amp attached to the back of a seat, or they didn't have a standard screwdriver to unscrew it. My bass guitar turned up in a garden about 5 minutes away. I guess it's hard to hide a guitar on your person. And my CD collection was left into shade. Guess they don't like metal. My lesson was that you should not leave things on display. Police officer here. Side doors that lead into the garage from backyard are the #1 entry point. So make sure it's secured well with a deadbolt and a second deadbolt head height or higher. That way people can't kick out the door. Make sure your doors are metal high grade and the trim is backed up with metal siding. I put PVC pipes on all my windowsills. It's cheap and prevents the window from being slid open with ease. They will have to break it then reach in past broken glass, hopefully cutting themselves, leaving DNA. I have my retired K9 in the yard. I have an alarm and cameras inside and outside my house that record on a hidden DVR. Won't help if they break in and take that too. Also my alarm cameras record when the alarm is tripped and it's stored on the net. I have high lattice on top of my fences. This way it's harder to hop the fence and they will break it when they try drawing attention. Things like that make burglars look at your house and see it as a harder target and move on. Have good vigilant neighbors. When I'm on vacation we have my mom park her car in front, in back, etc. Turn different lights on and have all blinds and curtains shut. Leave a note on front door saying, just because I don't answer does not mean I'm not home. I may be on the other side of the door waiting with my 12 gauge. Many burglars ring the bell and wait to see if anyone is home. If someone answers they make up a stupid excuse why they are there. Call the police when you see suspicious people or cars. Write plates down. Let the burglars know that your neighborhood is vigilant. Don't let people know you on vacation. That includes neighbors, FB friends, etc. Dirtbag cousin will sell that information to burglary crews for a cut in the loot. Not a thief, but I install security systems for a living. At this point I've been doing it for just about 5 years and seen every kind of break-in I can imagine. Some tips I've come to use in my own house. Bolt the safe down. I cannot stress this enough. I don't care how big or heavy it is, I've seen them taken. Deadbolts will not stop someone from coming in. There are very few doors I trust. I've seen a few of the posts from up above say front doors are never broken into. They are. Lock it down, lock your damn windows. I have these screw down devices that clamp onto the window track and make it so that even if I leave a window unlocked, it can only open 3-4 inches. Get to know your neighbors. It was stated before that this was a good thing to do, and I firmly believe in. Nosy neighbors can be good for something. That being said, having neighbors doesn't always mean that you won't be targeted. Most people are gone during the day and have their shades shut at night and are distracted by their TV shows. Don't park outside. Pretty easy to tell if you're home or not. Don't leave anything outside they can use to climb on. Seen so many break-ins where the owner's ladder, grill, or trash cans were used to access windows that would have been out of reach. Obviously I firmly believe in my alarm system as well. General rule I have for them is to have your perimeter covered. If you can have the system go off before someone comes in, then this will be your biggest weapon to keep someone out. Cameras inside and outside are huge as well. Outside cams are pretty self-explanatory, but the inside camera helps avoid false alarms. When our system goes off, I get onto my app and can instantly tell if it is a roommate because he'll be dancing in front of it mouthing "my bad dude," or if someone has actually broken into the house. I relay this to my monitoring personnel when they call, and they in turn give this information to the police when dispatched. If the cops know someone is in the house, they will respond as quick as they can. They want to keep us safe, and when they know someone is in the house for sure, I've seen them go to extreme measures to do so. Mad respect for them. Thanks. I know a lot of folks in here have said that they don't worry about dogs or guns. On the contrary, I lived a really faked up life before I joined the army and got set straight. I have signs around my house that let people know a combat veteran lives here, as well as signs that warn them of unsafe pit bulls. I also have two 80 lbs pit bulls that are both trained to attack. I can barely walk them without having a problem, and I've had to reinforce my fencing significantly after the neighbor's dog got in back and was killed. Now, if I were younger me and I saw older me covered in tattoos with combat veteran license plates, combat veteran stickers, etc., constantly sitting in the garage watching the neighborhood, or on the front porch watching the neighborhood with other big guys covered in tattoos, and a pair of dogs that about tore any own's head off were it not for the chains they are on when walking by the house, younger me would skip this house. Then again, I'm always home point as far as weapons go. If you're not willing to keep a gun within arm's reach with one in the chamber 24/7, there's no point in owning one for self-defense, and there's no reason to leave them anywhere but in a 500 lbs gun safe bolted to the garage floor when you're outside the house point. If someone tried to break into my home right now, they'd be staring at two very big, very angry pit bulls with a very big, very angry veteran behind them pointing a gun at them. I'm at a point in my life where I'm more grumpy than I'm happy to be alive, and I wouldn't hesitate to shoot someone who comes in my house multiple times before asking them what they're doing in my house. I guess people with an inkling of violence in them don't have to worry about it befalling their lives as much, though, as I really don't ever get any shit unless I go looking for it. Edit. Background: before the army, lived in rougher parts of Los Angeles, white boy that hung out with Mexican bangers and Crips through childhood, then moved on to Hells Angels and Tweakers in my teen years. Used to hit houses between the hours of 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. with guys who would tie people up in their beds while we ransacked the place and another one sat outside in the car. I'd say the large majority of break-ins occurred because of open doors in backyards or open windows in rooms where there weren't people sleeping. Most burglars won't step foot in a house if there's a person inside. Most drug addicts don't care one way or the other as long as they can get their next 8 ball. Tips: if you're not as friendly with guns and violence as other people, most of it's already been said. Don't brag about money. Lock everything up. Figure out what will make your house harder to break into than the house next to you, and make adjustments. Pay attention to your neighborhood. Get to know your neighbors. Don't sleep with windows open in rooms you aren't sleeping in. Dogs work, but only if trained. My brother used to walk his GSD around the perimeter of his property every night, and my brother specifically paid visual attention to people he didn't know, or people that looked shady, and specifically greeted and spoke with people he did know to condition the dog to consider the demeanor of people that his owner observed and interacted with. When my brother, his GSD, and I went camping in the Georgia mountains, he would open the rear door and let his dog out first to explore while we parked and settled. His GSD would immediately explore the natural boundaries of the site, nose to the ground, ears up without any command guidance or excessive supervision, literally walking the perimeter bushes, fences, streams, slope edges. She went fishing with us off leash, slept by the campfire while we drank, and retired outside the tent while we slept. At 11 years old, this old female GSD intimidated a black bear out of our campsite. She squared up in the classic GSD posture, ears up, back hair bristled up, showing teeth, aggressively snarling, barking, and not giving an inch when the bear stood up and postured itself. When the bear gave up the effort for free food, it retreated. The GSD, then followed it into the woods after giving it a 40-yard head start while she popped her head back through the bushes to give herself a visual head count of my brother and I before setting out again, securing her family's area. She never barked at strangers from the truck while at the gas station or the grocery store, but she damn well would have if you put your hand on a door handle or the truck bed. But I get it, that's too much work. We all just want a dog that looks cute and that we can keep in a cage while we work 9 to 5. Not a burglar, but some things I've thought about. Alarms are a deterrent, not foolproof. They especially don't work if you don't set the alarm. Burglars will still try their luck regardless, then snatch and grab jewelry and TVs before anyone has time to respond. Think how much 2 or 3 men could walk out within 2 minutes. Burglars will go after the easiest house on your street, the low-hanging fruit. Don't be that house. Your house is only as secure as your weakest link. If you have solid doors and good deadbolts, but your windows are old and don't lock well, the windows are your weakness. Some houses have outdoor attic access that isn't locked. It's not hard to punch through a ceiling. Doggy doors without a motion detector alarm are trouble. I heard reports of burglars sending 12-year-olds into doggy doors to unlock back doors. Beef up every access point to your house, or have a security measure for each entrance point. Lock up your valuables. Use a safe that is securely mounted to the floor. If electronics like a TV is mounted, use screws with odd heads so they can't be removed with a common screwdriver. Hide the driver bit in a safe place. Bolt a security chain/cable to electronics and anchor them to your wall, or secure them in such a way that they all have to awkwardly move as a unit or are tangled to big furniture. Make your stuff as difficult or time consuming to steal, so that even if they do get in, they pass these items in favor of easy ones. Thieves will have tools, but the more difficulty you give them, the increased likelihood that you won't lose as much. Point: assume your yard is public property. People steal automatic pool cleaners, bikes, and tools all the time. Put them away out of sight or lock them up. Someone mentioned stools or furniture assisting burglars into a window. I'm going to get a bike lock cable to lock my lawn chairs together to mitigate this risk. Just have a locksmith key the lock to your house key for an easy unlock when it's time to hang out again. Most burglaries in my neighborhood happen during the day and from the backyard. It's a good idea to assume your fence doesn't exist or even makes good cover for a burglar and secure your house that way. Backyard doors and windows are very important. Start with a deadbolt. It takes a slightly more focused effort to get past that as compared to a standard lock. A library card can bypass a standard door lock because people are lazy. A standard lock is designed in such a fashion as to enable you to lock a door from the inside, then shut the door as you leave without having to pause and use a key to lock it from the outside. That is, like you do with a deadbolt, otherwise known as a lock prior to the development of those currently used on most doors. The shape of the bolt allows it to be depressed while you shut the door, then it pops into place. It doesn't depress in the opposite direction, but you can slide a credit/library/AAA card in along the angled surface of the bolt and work at it until the card depresses the bolt. My first try took about 15 seconds, the next one about 10. I haven't had to do this in years, but it's seriously not at all complicated. Source: not a burglar, neither experimentally or habitually. As a teenager, I lived in an extremely rural area. There was a mile walk home from the bus stop after school, and nowhere to go if I accidentally locked myself out of the house. No cell phones then, and no parent arriving home for at least 6 hours after me. I forgot my key regularly, and after the second or third time doing so, I resorted to figuring out just how hard it was to get in without removing the basement window and crawling in that way, prompted by a home security commercial on the air at the time, in which one of the actors claimed, "I can pick most locks with a credit card. Your school library card will, in fact, open doors for you." My home was burglarized at Christmas last year. Yes, it was the wet bandits. Whoever did it knew I wasn't at home, as they had the audacity to throw a brick through a window and climb in that way. Since then, I have made the following upgrades to my home to help me feel more secure. Change the locks. This was the first thing I did. I also had double-cylinder deadbolts installed on all exterior doors. Security film on all windows. I can't afford to have my windows replaced with those fancy panes of bullet-resistant things at the local bank/Little Caesars. Home security system. Do your research before you buy one of these. Some of the larger providers will make you sign a contract for 10th number of years, or will have certain days of the week that you can cancel your contract once it comes time. Get one that's customizable to your home. Glass break sensors, door sensors, and motion sensors are all must-haves. Get one that has a battery backup system and is not reliant on landline phone. Security camera system. Get this separate from your home security system. Comcast, I know, offers an all-in-one package, which sounds pretty good at first, and then you realize that if the internet/cable goes out at your home for whatever reason, then your primary and secondary plans are proper faked. Automatic timers for lights. These run about $10 at any home improvement store. Program them to turn off and on at random intervals. Motion detecting exterior floodlights. Lights at night are a bad dream for anyone sneaking around. Getting caught by a light flashing on and off is like your mom walking in on you watching Silk Stockings when you're 14 and you think that everyone had already gone to bed, which definitely did not happen to me. Signs indicating that you have a security system and or CCTV cameras. Cheap, simple, effective deterrent. Hopefully these tips help. Ex-burglar. A car in the driveway was likely to prevent me coming in. Having a garage without windows was also likely, as I couldn't see if anyone was home. Sure, I used to knock first, but you never know if there's someone inside who doesn't want to answer the door for a strange dude and friends. So the cars made it significantly less likely. Actual alarm system, irrelevant. Stickers, relevant. I have been in quite a few houses with alarms. If it looked like a really good one, then it'd tail the risk, but whether or not it had an alarm was irrelevant. It only takes like 5 to 10 minutes to get the most valuable items, and the cops never ever showed up for alarms until I was gone. Dogs. Literally, fuck pets. I don't want to hurt your animal, and even if it doesn't attack, it's going to be loud as fuck and my heart already feels like it's about to explode. Actually, fuck everything I just said except for the dog part. Fuck alarms, fuck cars, fuck guns. Nothing deters like a loud faking dog or two on the other end of a door. I've even had a dog next door call enough attention to me that I had to bail out the front door while the neighbor circled around the back. Fuck that shit. TLDR, dogs, do you have a motherfucker? Edit, I see a lot of people acting like dogs ain't no thing. Don't know what kind of houses they were breaking into. Dogs are friendly, but they are also loud. Like, you can hear them next door through the house when there's a burglar loud. If you've hit enough houses, you're eventually going to learn what things lead to potentially freaky faking experiences. If mine, all but my eventual arrest involves dogs. If I have 3 houses in a neighborhood, why would I not choose the one that has no dogs barking on approach? It's a no-brainer. I might be able to give some insight here. I have never a burglar, but I was part of an investigative team for several years to find out how to keep your possessions and information secure. Beyond buying a security system, which I highly recommend getting one with lots of noises and lights, here's a few things to keep in mind. Lock your doors and windows. Someone looking for a quick steal would often be deterred by a locked car door or house door. The next step for them would be to break a window, and that causes too much alarm. Don't leave valuables within eyesight. Like I said before, if a door or window is locked, most burglars looking for a quick steal won't engage further. They will look for an easier pick from another vehicle. The problem comes when that person sees you have a brand new computer bag in the back seat of your car. Odds are you're going to have a laptop in the computer bag, incising them to literally break into your car or home. At this point, leave the suspicion that someone might be home. If you and your husband each have a vehicle and have errands to run, carpool. Leaving a vehicle in front of your house displays that someone might be home. Most burglars don't want to have to engage someone. The most important point that can be easily done at literally no cost is to never advertise yourself or your valuables. Do not tell the world that you just bought a new TV. Don't post it on Facebook. Don't tell the people on the bus. Don't leave the box in your front yard. Don't tell your neighbors. Most of the thieves we've talked to said they saw a Facebook post or they saw the empty box that told them you just bought a new $3,000 TV. One guy in particular said he was walking home when he saw the box of a new flat screen TV on someone's porch. He walked right up to the house, opened the unlocked door, and took the TV. When you post something to Facebook, you're telling the world that you have a new and expensive item in your possession. When you tag yourself being somewhere on Facebook, you're telling the world that you're not home. The most dangerous thief is one who strikes at night. This is the least common time for someone to try and back into your home, but it does happen. When someone is breaking into your home at night, they're assuming that you're going to be home. Unless they know you're somewhere on vacation, which they shouldn't know, because no one would post that kind of information on Facebook, right? So if someone breaks into your home at night, they're expecting to run into you or be confronted. During this situation, it's best advised not to engage the person. Try to lock yourself in whatever room you're in and call the police. You'll get some things stolen, but don't try to engage the person. You may think you have the upper hand because you have a bat or a gun, but they're entering your home with the assumption that you're going to try and stop them. Odds are, they have some weapons too. Daytime burglary is the most common, since most people are out of the house. It doesn't matter if you're at work, or at school, or if you're out robbing someone else's house, you're not home, and they know it. The best line of defense is to make it seem like you or someone else is home. The main difference between daytime burglary and nighttime is that the daytime people don't expect anyone to be home. If you're out and about when you receive an alert that your house is being broken into, don't speed home and try to catch them in the act. The average time it takes a burglar to be in and out of your house is 3 to 10 minutes. Odds are by the time you get the call/alert, they're already halfway through your house. When something is out of your control, you tend to make bad choices. As funny as it sounds, I've heard people tell me that they blew the red light to get home because they were being robbed. Don't start calling people and blaming them for your house getting broken into. I know it's hard, but try to stay calm. The only thing you can really do here is make sure the police are aware of the situation. If anyone is going to speed through lights to catch someone, it'll be them. It's a big if. If you are home when the burglary is happening, do not shoot the guy. This person might be breaking into your home and stealing your things, but shooting them brings in all kinds of problems. Know the laws of your state when it comes to this kind of thing, but I would encourage you not to shoot on sight. These are people too. If someone is breaking into your home and you're there, it's best to call the police and lock yourself away from the situation. Engaging a target is risky and is not worth getting yourself hurt. I'm not saying this about all burglars, but in general they're not mentally stable. Their moral compass is probably not as strong as yours. If you engage them, they might have less hesitation on hurting you compared to your hesitating on hurting them. No one needs to get hurt. Just don't engage. Having a dog helps, but only slightly. Most burglars don't care if you have a pet, but some might at least think twice if it's a guard dog or not. Guard dog training is definitely an option, but not everyone wants their dog to go through it. If you are thinking about it, do some research. Look for a place that will train your dog for your needs, so it doesn't end up being a police dog. Unless that's what you want, know your city and its statistics. This mostly helps for when you're about to buy a house, but it can help those who have already moved into the area as well. Know what months of the year have the most break-ins. Know what times of day it usually happens. Know what part of your city has the most theft. Know the color of car with the most break-ins. Some cities have their own statistics page, but others you might have to do some research. Knowing these statistics can keep people alert of their surroundings. These are just some basics, but I hope you got something from this note. Being robbed can be a very traumatizing. Your house is supposed to be a safe place, and this can really shake some people. I highly suggest getting therapy, whether or not you feel this has affected you mentally or not. Things that you may experience could include loss of faith/trust in society, feeling guilty even though you were the victim, living in fear of getting robbed again, lack of trust in friends/family, or blaming friends/family for the event, depression, sleeping problems, etc. TLDR, you really should at least skim over this. The biggest thing in my opinion to take from all this is to be aware of what you're posting on Facebook and where you leave your boxes. When you post on Facebook that you just bought a new TV and then tag yourself in another city the next day, you're literally asking people to rob you. A bit late to the party, but figured I'd throw in. I used to break into homes when I was younger, like late 90s, when I was more faked up. My goal was to be as unobtrusive as possible. I would dress in Mormon attire, had a backpack with literature in it, and would just walk up to the home at whatever the appropriate time was after casing the place, until I felt I knew enough to act without getting caught or running into occupants. No one wants to talk to Mormons. People would look right past me. Got stopped by a cop once. "Oh, I'm sorry sir, I didn't bring my ID, since I wasn't driving. If you have some time, I'd love to talk to you about your eternal life though. A little talk about the kingdom of heaven, and I was on my way lol." Be wary of people that don't belong that are in the neighborhood often. Joggers, strange cars, Mormons. Security systems. If I saw any kind of protected by alarm system sticker, I would skip that house. The number of people that do not lock their doors at all or do not use the deadbolt that is installed on their door is baffling. Actually locking up your house is a great deterrent. Dogs are not a good deterrent, particularly if they are the type to bark a lot in general. So your neighbors hear your dog barking for the 5,000th time. No one's paying attention to that sheet. Big dogs weren't even a bother because most of them aren't trained to be defenders. Some kind words, a piece of beef jerky, and some pets and they'd usually mellow out pretty quick. My intention was never to be in a place longer than a few minutes. I'd go straight to the master bedroom. Quick check of drawers, nightstands, and closets. Look up in the closet. Stuff on the shelves. Look under the stuff. Look for an upper lip where people commonly hide sheet like lockbox keys. Between the mattresses / box spring for handguns. I'm in and I'm after cash and jewelry. Cash, I'd take whatever I could find. Jewelry, I wouldn't just grab the box. I'd usually aim for mid-quality looking items. The upper tier sheet that you'd find in jewelry boxes was usually fake. The expensive stuff would usually be locked up or set aside in some way, like in its own containers that it came in, or a lockbox. And the final point of interest were handgun containers, the kind that people buy when they only have one handgun or two, that would get dropped in the backpack to be opened later if the key wasn't in one of the easy areas, and then I'd be out. Exit the same way I came in, like I was meant to be there, and be on my way. I'd leave the door how I found it. I doubt a lot of those people even realized that someone had been in their home, which was the idea. Longer it takes them to figure it out and file a police report, the more likely I had their sheet sold and out of my possession. It wasn't my thing, but I did used to know people that would target the obvious gun nuts and hunters. Yeah, broadcast your place is protected by S&W or UJA. Lot of good it does you when no one's there. So stupid. Not a burglar. Represented a number of them over the years. My impression was that, collectively, they were an interesting collection of guys with ice water in their veins, while being dumber than a box of rocks. Consequently, the folks who are posting clever solutions, NRA sticker on the door, won't cut it. Real burglars wouldn't make the connection. Besides, they like houses with guns, because guns are so easy to sell. Also, study after study has shown that you are more likely to be shot by an intruder, more often than not by your own gun, than you are to successfully shoot the intruder. Plus, there's the attendant problems. Toddlers shooting each other, toddlers shooting their mothers, toddlers shooting the next door neighbors. Faking toddlers. Dogs are also not a good deterrent, because most of these guys will come prepared for dogs. They also, ice water, remember, come across as absolutely belonging where they are, even if it's the middle of the night in someone's home. It's weird how convincing they can be, and a lot of dogs pick up on that. The exception are yappy dogs, which A, no one pays attention anymore, and B, most sane people would rather be burglarized than have a yappy dog. Side note, these guys will have a story as to why they're there if you confront them. The story will have some element of plausibility to it, enough to make you pause, and it will cause you to ask questions designed to get to the bottom of things. Screw that. Call 911. The police are trained at getting to the bottom of things. Having an adult awake in the house at all times is the best deterrent, but that isn't very practical. Outside of that, have steel doors without windows in them, dead bolted to sturdy frames, and lock them. Make sure your landscaping doesn't offer any places to hide while they're fiddling with the windows. Some people plant spiky plants, pyracantha, roses, barberry, to make entry uncomfortable or cause so much effort as to draw attention. Windows are a problem. There's lots of solutions, but they tend to be either cumbersome or prohibitively expensive. Security lights aren't bad, especially if they have motion detectors. If someone sets them off, they don't know if they're automatic, or if someone inside just set them off. Never met a burglar that cared much about security systems. The good ones figured out how to disarm them. A lot of rookies were into smash and grab, so they were out the door before anyone awoken by the alarm could do much. Been burgling for the last 5 years without being caught. Lock all doors and windows. When I'm casing up a house, I estimate my maximum time I can be there before the police are likely to turn up. Sometimes a job where I give myself 10 minutes can take 9 minutes to get in without making a noise, and 1 or 2 minutes inside before I'm out of there. If you leave a window or door open, I have 10 minutes to look for your valuables, not 2. If you do lock windows and doors, make sure they're all wired up to your main alarm. Sound attracts attention, and attention is the last thing we want. If your alarm works, then I'm not gonna stick around for long. Point: live in a well lit area. Like I said, I case a join before I go in, and for this, I need to spend 30 minutes, 1 hour observing everything. Your neighbors and your house, looking for cameras, flaws in your security, and where in the house you might be. A guy sitting in a pitch black corner of the garden won't get seen like a guy sitting in a bright orange garden will. Point: my main goal is your car. I can walk in some houses and within 2 minutes walk out with a £20k car which I can sell for parts to a guy I know for £6k. Make sure your keys are in a safe place, not a drawer in your kitchen, otherwise I'm going to find them. In addition, I hardly ever walk out with TVs for the reason they're huge. It's usually phones, laptops and tablets which I can sell for £100 each. I can probably get £1k worth of these things on a good night. Point: don't live routinely. Sometimes I see a car worth £50k that I can sell for £20k and think it might be worth coming back for. Mainly because it's a month's worth of work in a 8 to 9 hours. If you go out every Saturday to a cafe or the pub, it'll have clocked you and will know when to look for your keys undisturbed. If you go to work at 7 AM every morning, I can within 5 minutes have you on your knees begging me not to kill you whilst you give me your keys. Don't beg. You look pathetic, especially when your wife is going mental at me and really trying to kill me. Be the man of the house, except you're getting robbed and you won't get hurt as well as robbed. During the time in my life that the state prevented me from working legally, I had to resort to black market employment. Point: the only successful way to keep me out of your home is the threat of death. Point: a deadbolt is only bolted to a strip of, usually, rotten wood. I'll learn to pop doors open very quietly with not much force. Sometimes people would not even wake up. Bars on windows don't work because you can pull them off with a chain and truck. If worse comes to worse, we could ram the wall with a truck or use a sledgehammer to breach the wall. Alarms don't work because we will be in and out before the police come. Cameras don't work because we will wear a mask and stuff our clothes with pillows to make us look fat. Reservoir or glass cemented to the top of a wall won't work because we will lay something over the top and hop over. A dog, maybe. You will need more than one big dog. I had drug dealer friends have all their dogs killed because a dog cannot return fire. Electric fence probably won't mess with this, but it can be defeated by a determined element. Security guards, more effective, but everyone has their price. You'd be surprised to know how many security guards are in on it. Death. That's the only way. If I knew a target was too hard to heavily defended, we would never attempt. You want to stop a determined element from breaking into your home, just kill them. The sound of a 12-gauge or rack would make me shit my pants. As someone who has been burglarized, here's some advice. 1. Get away or double-sided deadbolts for your main level doors. You might have the best skludge on your door, but once you have gotten in through a window, all it takes is a flip of a plunger to open that door and make it that much easier to walk all that booty out and into a vehicle. It's a lot harder to get a big haul when you have to carry everything back out through a window. 2. Keep your bushes and trees trimmed. Point: if you have bushes around your house under your windows, or low-hanging trees that make it harder to see people from the street, you're making it that much easier for someone to hang out undercover while they play around trying to get inside. This also serves to show that the property is lived in and not vacant, and that you as the occupant are attentive to your property. 3. Lighting pro criminals will try to get you during the day, but an easy way to deter your average burglar is keeping things well lit after dark. While motion lights are easier on the electric bill, I personally feel that always on evening lighting, photocell activated, is a better deterrent, as most people get desensitized by the random opossum or raccoon setting off motion lights. If you do motion lights, make sure they are set to stay on for the longest setting. 4. If you are going to keep valuables in your home, be creative with their hiding point. First place any decent criminal is going to go for a good score is your bedroom. They're going to check under your bed, flip your mattress, and pull out/dump all your dresser drawers. If they have the time, they will also rummage your closet, and might even check your freezer. So, if you're going to keep cash or heirlooms or anything else you consider valuable anywhere other than a good safe, $40 to $50 at Walmart is maybe good for fire, but not much else. Or, better yet, a safety deposit box. Pick somewhere that is going to take more than a few seconds to discover. 5. A word about guns. Guns do nothing to prevent a burglary, however, they can potentially stop a robbery, and possibly save your life. The most unpredictable criminal, and thus the most dangerous, is one who is willing to enter your home when you are there. These are either druggies so desperate that they don't care, or someone who wishes to do something to you or your family. But I bring this up because the psychological effect of being burglarized is unpleasant, to say the least. It is a violent invasion of your personal space, and it makes you feel uneasy in an environment you formerly associated with safety and comfort. So while they might not do much on the side of burglary prevention, I know that I slept better afterward with my loaded 870 in reach. Bear in mind that I'm single without children, as other people in my home would have changed the condition of my weapon. It's also worth mention that I barred my bedroom door at night before sleeping, which I recommend to anyone who fears a nighttime intrusion. If they even got through at all, the siege required would have both awakened me and granted me enough time to ready my weapon. Best case scenario is they try the knob with no luck and move on. Frankly, unless you have family in another section of the house that justifies you leaving your room, there is no reason for you to aggress a threat. If you're making any noise, it should be on your phone as you're calling 911, and that includes that BS about the action of your shotgun is the scariest thing to a criminal. You want to be the one hearing, not the one heard. I hope that helps, and I hope that the tips you receive here assist you in preventing such an experience. I live in a college town adjacent to some really sketchy areas. The first house I lived in, our neighbor told us was robbed at least once a year. My friend had his house robbed when he was home for winter break. The threat is very real, and I thank my lucky stars it hasn't happened to me yet. I attribute that though to a couple really simple preventative measures. Lock your faking doors. Almost all crimes are crimes of opportunity. Don't give them that opportunity. You are probably fine locking your doors only at night and while away, but it helps to have it locked by default, just to get into the habit of it. Don't leave items of value in plain sight. You often hear people talk about this to prevent car break-ins, but the same logic applies to a house too. If they can't see anything valuable through the windows they want, they probably don't want to waste the effort. Know the signs of when burglars are in the area. According to our neighbor, a good telltale was bikes being chained to street signs. They would ride to the neighborhood on their bike and not have a friend's place to keep it in. Just take extra care and be on alert for suspicious activity. This is more for mugging prevention, but be alert when walking home at night. Stay on streets with street lamps if you can. Look for potential places someone could be hiding and give them a wide berth. Traveling with a buddy is also a good idea, but it's not always an option, and it's no guarantee a mugger won't try something. This is all that I've ever done to avoid burglary/mugging. Hopefully it helps. Also, one other thing that may be helpful, even though I've never done it, window and door alarms can be pretty cheap, and depending on your university they may give them out for free. Installing them on your windows and doors could easily scare someone away. A lot of robberies can occur by people who have visited the house before, such as cleaning services, cable repair personnel, gas company, mail carriers etc. Not to say, be untrusting of the hard-working individuals who may visit your home, but just be aware. This happened to my family. Pretty certain it was the cleaners, or friends of. My mom used the same lady for a while, so she had a good idea of where the valuables were. When she came home, our dog was in the backyard, and she thought she accidentally left him outside. Then she realized the window in the backyard was pried open with a crowbar. Nothing was trashed or moved, just all my mother's jewelry and the cash my parents had hidden was stolen. The robber knew exactly where to go. Pretty sad because they took some jewelry with sentimental value, such as my dad's college class ring. My parents are immigrants, so that was the first real traditional American symbol my dad owned. I'm glad I got to see it for the first time literally a month before it was stolen, so at least I have a picture of him with it on. Irony is my parents used to have a alarm system, then cancelled it after not using it much. Now they have a more high-tech one which they can control with their phone, and they never leave the house without activating it. Whenever I come visit home, they always remind me to turn it before I leave. So the most upsetting thing about it all is the paranoia my mother feels after her home was invaded. We have a small dog who I love so much, and I'm so happy they didn't hurt or kill him. The little guy did take a sheet in the house before they put him outside, so he literally was scared sheetless. He was the most valuable treasure in our home that day, and I'm just thankful those fakers didn't hurt him. I know a guy, he gave me the following info. Serious, 99% of burglars are looking for the quickest, easiest score. Whether it's junkie looking for something to pawn, or a career burglar, they want to get in and get out quickly with no witnesses. This fact pretty much drives the list below. Just like when you're going camping, you don't have to outrun the bear, you only have to outrun your friend. Your friend is your neighbor's house. The bear is the burglar. Outrunning is making your home a less appealing target than his. The metaphor is to give you a common denominator, to compare this situation to another, more obvious situation. The parentheses are to explain it to dumb people. Point 1. Lights on. If someone is home, or appears to be home, they're moving on. On vacation, light/TV/radio timers work well. 2. Most burglaries are going to happen between dusk and midnight. Burglar has obvious signs of people being home. Lights. Before dusk, people home plus no lights. After midnight, people home plus no lights. Make sure your home appear occupied during these hours. 3. Make sure windows and doors are not obscured. Even the best locked window is still just a pane or two of glass. Give someone a quiet, sheltered place to work, and they will defeat your lock, or just bust the window. Sure, everyone looks out their front window when they hear the glass break, but if they don't see you standing on the front lawn with a busted picture window, no one is going to call the cops because they heard breaking glass. 4. Many burglars will test a home before breaking in. Ring a doorbell and ask for someone who doesn't live there. Oops, sorry, wrong address. No answer, probably no one home. This one is harder to protect against, but an indoor dog works well. 5. Dog. In the yard, or in the house. Toy breeds are useless, but even a Labrador is enough for someone to not bother with the risk and move along. 6. Cars in the driveway. If you don't need to put your car in the garage, then leave it in the driveway. Not a slam dunk that they'll skip your house and move along, but one more thing to make them keep walking and to your neighbor's place instead. 7. Alarm company signs/stickers. Why bother if there is a chance of an air raid siren going off the minute they step inside? Most people take very little in the way of effective precautions, so the average burglar has a wide selection of soft targets. Take a few cheap and effective steps and your odds of being hit drop pretty dramatically. Most people also overestimate burglars. They are not wearing balaclavas and cleaning out your house with rented trucks or rappelling down through skylights. They, generally, don't care about big screen TVs either. They're going to the top drawer in your dresser, your jewelry box, top shelf in your closet, in the liquor cabinet. They're probably leaving your place on foot with a duffel bag. Carrying your 60-inch plasma down the street is a little obvious. Cars give witnesses and police all kinds of ways to identify/track/stop you. Stolen cars even double. Not that it doesn't happen. No one said these guys were smart. Good luck. I'm a little late here, but this is my story. My girlfriend and I live together. Low income neighborhood. Not necessarily dangerous, but low income for sure. Drugs and specifically heroin are a problem. We went out to dinner. We were gone for maybe 2 hours. They broke through the window and the back door after clearly trying to pry the door open to no avail. Took a TV and a laptop, but the worst was a jewelry box full of jewelry that my girlfriend's family, late relatives, had given to her. Most of it wasn't even worth any money, but it broke her heart to lose them, some of which were irreplaceable. To me, the worst part is the feeling that your home and your security have been violated. It'd take a while to get over the perpetual uneasiness that comes late at night. There were plenty of things they could have tried to come back for afterward. We installed motion activated floodlights by the back door. After the incident we realized at night the backyard is pitch black and very easy to sneak around in unnoticed. The lights are extremely bright and unavoidable. As someone previously mentioned, the biggest danger to a burglar is the neighbors calling the cops. Both my girlfriend and I and the responding police officers are confident that had these lights been there in the first place, this never would have happened. The concealing darkness of the backyard is what gave the burglar or burglars the confidence to attempt forced entry in the first place. We also have a home security system now as well. TLDR, install motion activated lamps that will put anyone attempting to gain entry on full display for the neighbors. Not a burglar, but I run a security business. Primary clients are Colorado dispensaries, so it's quite the target for some point. However, this is for residential, and most things are the same. Point cameras. Exterior cameras shouldn't be small or hidden. Make them obvious and blatant. Real cameras have no blinking red light, but most good ones will have a infrared bar or ring around the cameras that illuminate it at night that will give off a dim red light. Interior cameras can be obvious or hidden. Obvious is generally the choice for commercial, hidden for residential. These not only help with possible robberies, but also common theft. You had those guests over and now you're missing something? Check the cameras. Signs. These are often great deterrents, since most alarm systems don't have any exterior signs that one is installed/functioning. A sign can be an easy deterrent. Just remember, it's best to follow through with the claim though. Siren, not the one that comes with a Vista kit or any other alarm. I suggest my customers use a large siren made for large areas that is absolutely exceeding the decibel laws. These can be found for around $20 to $40 on eBay. Since it is an emergency, most locations will have an exception to this, but just make sure you don't set it off accidentally every other night. With a small delay like 30 seconds you can easily have a ear-shattering siren sounding within the house, easily audible from at least a half mile away. The best prevention. Freshly baked cookies. Take them to your neighbors. Be nice and get to know them. Make sure they get to know you and anyone else that has rightful access to your house. Once they know you're a nice guy/gal/family and know who the family is, they'll be much more likely to question or call the authorities if an unidentified person is at the house for extended periods of time. Depends where you live. If you live in the UK or similar countries, then the main deterrent is just ensuring all windows/doors are locked before bed. If someone tries to force their way in through a door in most UK neighborhoods, you will wake up half the street, as our houses are all quite close together, even if they are semi-detached, so any noise tends to attract attention. Not to mention our houses are tiny. Both of my neighbors have been robbed once in the past 10 to 15 years, but they are 70, 80 plus. One of them was when they were in hospital and the other neighbor was through a back door left open. Had someone try to break in through my damaged window in the first month I was at uni. 4 AM. Can hear someone jiggling the window to get in. I wait a minute and see an arm coming in, so I grab one of my bedside blades and just give a wild stab into the night whilst screaming. Probably not a pretty sight, a naked 6'2" man screaming at you with a knife. I missed of course, but that was probably for the best as they legged it and had no reason to come back and seek revenge. Student areas are the main target in the UK. I find there's a long road of student houses a mile or so from my house that are targeted quite often, and as for usual with students, the problem is people coming and going and leaving doors open. People just pop in and go into the first room where they can almost definitely find a laptop and a tablet, etc. The only time I have ever stole from someone's house was because they left their door open. A near neighbor I didn't like when I was in uni watched them all going out, and I called my mate and we went over with a garbage bag and emptied the well-stocked fridge/freezer/cupboards of every item we could find. Free eating. From a former locksmith, the first line of defense should be a reinforced entry. Put high security deadbolt plates, striker plate, 12.00 at Home Depot. A must. Upgrade to Schlage lock sets. A must. Install burglar bars in all lower level windows. Install high security film on all lower level windows. Install cameras or dummy cameras if you're in a budget. Beware of dog signs. Big ones. House alarm. Get the ones that are not connected to a landline, but rather, the ones that are wireless cell phone connected. Point must be installed in the hardest place to get to. Place alarm sign near windows, at front and back of home. When the home is left alone, leave lights, TV, and radio on. Protect your garage door. The biggest vulnerability is your garage door. I can open your door in 30 seconds. Get a trolley cover to prevent hooking the security release rope. Now that the physical precautions are done, let's talk about intelligence. Never talk to strangers or certain people anything related about your prescription drugs, guns, jewelry, money, safes, or vacation trips. This one is very important. Never hire an untrusted carpet cleaner, air duct vent cleaner, house cleaner, landscaper, any service company that offers low prices. Don't you ever think you're getting a bargain. Point pay for reputable service providers or recommended ones. Call local PD and tell them to send a patrol to your area so they create presence. Report suspicious activity, like unknown cars and people who you rarely see. Before doing so, approach them and talk to them. Make them feel that they have been spotted. Point. If they are up to no good, they will leave. I will like to conclude with a short story. Before I changed careers, I was called for service to a house where an 18-year-old girl was living alone. The bolts were bent, and I had to replace them. The door was so bent because they used a giant pry bar. I begged the owners to call the police. Police arrives, finds loaded gun in the lawn and a pry bar in bushes. The surrounding neighbors did not hear anything during the attempted break-in. I suggested to her to drop flyers to neighboring homes warning them of what had just happened. In my opinion, I think that if it wasn't because the door had security strikers, the person/s would have made it in, and who knows what would have happened. Funny story about this. Me and the girlfriend fight all the time about whether my dog is a tool or family member. She previously let him play with the neighbors' kids and wanted him to socialize with the neighbors. I put a stop to that for this exact reason. Point. I have dogs, motion lights, landscape light, an alarm system, storm doors, bars on my windows with prickly bushes below them, a 6-foot privacy fence, locking gate from inside and out, and the serial numbers of most everything I own in an encrypted file I always have access to, also containing a fairly comprehensive inventory of my belongings. Every salesman, realtor, neighbor or random person knocking on the door gets chased away by the dogs or me being politely unfriendly. The neighbor kids don't even usually come looking for anything they manage to throw over the fence anymore, because 99% of the time I don't even answer the door, and because they are dickhead children who have thrown shit at my dogs before. Any toys that end up in my yard are given to the dogs anyways, if they don't manage to destroy them before I even see them. TLDR, I have more than a few friends in low places who have commented on the setup of my house, the perimeter around it, and how they always make sure to call, not just text before coming over, so they don't spook me into going Josie Wales on them. TLDR, the best defense is a good deterrence. Make them think it's not worth the effort to break in. I used to install security outdoor rolling shutters for a living. Doing any type of security and burglar prevention type job opens your eyes to the world of crime. First off, burglary happens everywhere. Don't ever assume it won't happen in your neighborhood, because it already has at some point. The news doesn't report even a fraction of the break-ins and crimes that happen in your area. With that in mind, you'd be surprised how even the most basic things can prevent you being robbed. Always lock your doors and windows of your house. If you have a garage, park your car in it, and lock the doors and roll up the windows, even if it's in the garage. Just locking up can prevent a lot of break-ins, because they can simply move on to a home that isn't locked up. Put up blinds or some sort of thing, to prevent people seeing inside your home, to see what you have. Never leave boxes by the trash of things you bought like TVs, gaming systems, and other high-price items. Try to keep vacation plans on the down low. Those are all things you can do right now for little to no cost. Now for some things that will cost you some decent chunks of change. Get a security door. Your front door is easier to kick in than you probably think it is. It'll make some noise, but most people won't hear it, or won't know what the sound was in the first place, to bother to report it. Get security cameras. These aren't super useful in catching the burglar honestly, but they are a deterrent. Same goes for an alarm system. A burglar will not always stop just because an alarm is sounded. They will just take as much as they can in the minute or two they have. A couple minutes can get them quite a bit of stuff. It'll prevent them from cleaning you out or being broken into in the first place though, if they know the house is alarmed. Again, another deterrent is floodlights that are motion activated. They won't stop anyone obviously, but the person might move on to an easier target. If you can afford them, the rolling shutter company I used to work for offered some nice products for window/door protection. They're often called rolling shutters or Aladdins, if you're curious to look them up. They aren't cheap though. Usually averaging around $400-600 for a 4x4 window, and the price goes up from there. They provide sun protection and insulation as well, and are called hurricane shutters in Florida because they supposedly help protect against them. I think what you should take away from this is that you want to deter the thief. Make your house seem like a total pain in the butt to break into. If they don't think it's worth it, they will just move on to an easier target. I come from a country where home robberies are rampant. Here's a few points. Don't be known for being rich. Don't get a fancy car. Don't flaunt your gold. Being Indian, it is common for gold to be stored in the family. Guess what? A lot of burglars specifically target Indian homes knowing there is gold there. Live well, but not well enough to attract attention. This is all relative. Being in a poor neighborhood, just flaunting you have the latest sparks might get you hit. Keep the people who know you are going away to a minimal. Half the robberies I heard of were from people who had private security. Now, chances are you/company don't pay that security guard enough to have loyalty to you. You let him know you're on vacation. Suddenly his friends know exactly which house to hit. Also, don't assume acquaintances or even family aren't above robbing you. It might not be your best friend who does it, but maybe he tells his acquaintance about you, and that guy hits you. Put bars on windows. Have solid doors/locks. The biggest mistake I see here is grand front double front doors, often in luxury areas. Anyone could just kick it in. Have a solid frame and a good lock that attaches solidly. Know that if someone really wants to rob you, they will. Separate the stuff they want from the stuff you really don't want lost. So keep your passport in a different place from your jewelry/cash. A burglar might steal your jewelry, but the last thing you want is for the theft to linger knowing your identity is stolen. Basically, keep important documents completely separate from valuables. I'm not a burglar, but I grew up with a couple kids who would frequently break into houses and they would openly discuss their escapades with me. Pretty much basic stuff here, but still. First of all, keep your house secure. As secure as you possibly can. Obviously, lock your sheet, windows, doors, cellar doors, backyard gate, etc. Make sure these locks are secure as well. Some old locks can be very easy to break or manipulate. From most of the stories I've heard, my friends just walked into an empty house, or found a window or some other form of ingress, and walked off with some valuables. No ski masks, or cover of night. They just walk in, and walk out, while you're not home. They would watch different parts of the neighborhood, and look for people leaving their houses. Once someone left they would go knock on the door a bunch, and if no one answered they would do a few more probes in different ways, and then try to find a way in. What I would say is just leave a TV on or something. If the intruder thinks there is someone home, they are much less likely to chance entering the home. Your dog is basically useless, unless it's trained to attack. They're easy to distract, and then let out, or lock in a room, if they are even worth that much trouble. According to my friends, and a lot people in this thread, it would seem, dogs usually won't cause you any trouble, and are pretty friendly, after you introduce yourself. Don't advertise your nice belongings. Not to anyone. Your friends may not be out to get you, but people chat, and if the wrong person hears you have something they want, you may become a target. This has happened to me before, and I've seen other people get targeted for running their mouths about how awesome their new stuff is. This includes garbage. If you get a new TV or something, just keep the box. It's useful when moving, and putting out a big box like that is a tip-off for any burglar looking for a place to hit. If you don't want the box, fold it up, or cut it up, and put it into a trash bag. If I could give any tip, it would that. I've seen dozens of people get targeted for talking about / posting on social media / generally flaunting things of value. Don't talk about how much money you make and what you've purchased recently. Especially don't ramble on about how you're not afraid of a break-in because of all your guns. Your guns can't defend your house while you're out and are likely to be what you're getting robbed for. I've seen this exact scenario happen. Just keep your mouth shut. It's best just to keep to yourself and people you deeply trust. Install a security system, or at the very least, the sign that says you have one. Burglars don't want to be caught. That's the name of the game. So if you have something that says they are more likely to get caught, they'll just move on to someone who doesn't have one. Lastly, I would recommend that people actually hide their precious valuables and heirlooms, and hide them well. I was shocked at how much nice jewelry, trinket boxes full of odds and ends, large stashes of cash and other goodies my friends would have after hitting some houses. According to them, people would just leave stuff like that on nightstands or in the top drawer of a dresser. Apparently never too hard to find. So yay, do a better job hiding your sheet and bolt your safes down. They would never get them open, but just to be dicks they would take them and throw them in the lake if they were small enough to carry. The city remodeled that park not too long ago. I bet someone was pretty surprised when they drained that lake lol. Super late to the party, but I happen to have a little experience in the field. TLDR, from where I sit, easiest way not to get robbed is to not tempt a robber. Don't leave your stealable sheet out in plain sight with the windows open for extended periods when a, no one is home, or b, lights are on at night with curtains open, or c, there are, for whatever reason, lots of people walking by, even if you are home. Maybe you live on a busy street or a thoroughfare. I will repeat myself, ostentatious displays of wealth are the single quickest way to get robbed. Why do you think all the really rich people, what Chris Rock would call wealthy, don't drive around in Bentleys and cheat? Because old money knows that wealth is fluid and they don't play around when it comes to securing that sheet. You don't fuck with a 100-meter trust by spending it on crystal or even Chateau Lafite. You just buy what is enjoyable and good enough not to do anything but please the palate, and you do that whenever you want wine, because if you make prudent choices, meaning if you have good taste, the wine, or whatever item requires money, will always be excellent, and your life will be completely stress-free, not to mention the trust will either grow or remain static, but never dwindle, if one is prudent. This is a life of the truly wealthy, and trust me, they never get robbed. This kind of became a discussion and understatement, but the point is that I've never jacked anyone who didn't act like they were daring me to do it. I'm not an asshole, and I haven't been a thief in a long time, but when I did I would only take easy targets because I still have to look myself in the mirror at the end of the day and justify to myself what I did. Full disclosure, I never did anything really heavy, so take all this with a grain, but if my experience is at all like the mean, you'd be best to just pace yourself in the keeping up with the Genesis department. I'm pretty sure my mother was robbed after she had a massive window installation done at her house. My thoughts are that, since they had pretty much been in every room of the house, they could scope it out. A few days later, they waited for her to leave the house and broke in. Kicked down the door, new door, crappy threshold plus deadbolt, smashed through the threshold, grabbed things from key areas, mostly jewelry, but didn't take big ticket items like her TV or small electronics / appliances. She didn't have an alarm at the time, but they still took things they could carry off quickly, as if they knew where to find them. Luckily she's pretty random about where she take off her jewelry, so they didn't get too much. She's now living in a vault. Turned the home into a prison, and it's difficult to enjoy visiting anymore, but I totally understand. There hasn't been any problems since on the property or on her street, but she does have more secure windows, glass security doors, a steel piece in the threshold, external alarms and internal motion alarms. My point here is that when you invite people into your home to install something, don't be a lackadaisical customer. Be a hawk. It's your home. If they feel uncomfortable because you're eyeing them all the time, who the heck cares? If they feel that they might think twice about coming back to visit while you aren't home. You/Tebian made a lot of valid points on house security, especially the part about the dogs. If you have a dog, invest in some training. Everything he mentioned is very solid. Make sure to plaster the security system advertisement everywhere you can. Don't be one of those guys who leaves a spare key somewhere by the door or the mailbox. You'd be surprised how many people leave a key under a mat, a lawn ornament, gnome, the door frame, some random rock next to the door, etc. Have detectors on all door to the house, especially if the doors are glass. It's far too easy to quietly walk through a door that is completely glass or partially glass when you know how to work a glass cutter. Most standard door locks are trivial at most to someone who knows even the very basics of using a lockpick, set or key bumping. Remember, even locks advertised as unpickable can be picked, though generally speaking the more expensive the lock is the harder it is to pick, leading to a smaller percentage, if any, of burglars that will be able to walk right through a door. Most burglars just stake the neighborhood out for a week and throw a rock through your window when you're out for work, which is something a home security system will solve rather quickly and minimize your losses. Don't be a cheap fuck. Just because your window is on the second or third floor doesn't mean I can't climb through it. Every window and door should have an entry sensor, including garage doors and windows. Same goes for the basement. No ifs, ands or buts about it. Last piece of advice. Don't make your security system code 1234 or 0000 or 1111. It's your faking house, not a piece of luggage. Edit. Spear fences and or prickly bushes deter a lot of people. A spearhead fence around the perimeter of the house with a lockable gate and rose bushes under every ground level window works like a charm. Edit 2. If you live in a small but wealthy town that has town events which just about everyone attends, you have to be aware of the increased risk of break-ins. If I know the neighborhood is empty aside from Mrs. Doris, the 90-year-old widow who sits on her porch like a scarecrow, it's pretty much the holy grail, 1 2 3 houses at a time, and guess the targets. Every house that doesn't have a security system. Edit 3. Any unfamiliar vans or trucks in the area should be red flags. Not to sound racist, but most movers are Latino nowadays. If you see a Royal with just one or two white guy moving things into a truck, someone may just be cleaning your neighbor out. With that being said, don't call the cops on movers. See if they take any junk into the truck, like old coaches or other shit that looks like it's worthless. If they are only bringing out TVs, laptops, and small boxes which look like they have electronics or jewelry, then it's pretty obvious what's going on.